Hello and welcome to the Grown Man channel, a place where a grown man talks to grown folks about grown-up things. Today we're going to talk about my journey into becoming debt-free and gaining financial freedom. So we're going to be talking about how I started my debt-free journey, breaking down all of my accounts, how I managed to pay them off, and what the future holds for my financial endeavors. Now, as you can see for this video, we're going to do things a little different. You can actually see my face this time. I got so excited with the last video and getting the channel started that I completely skipped out on actually filming. I got a little feedback and I agree. A grown man should not be cutting corners. So from now on, we'll be using a PowerPoint when needed. But for the most part, y'all will be seeing me. Now, with that being said, let's get started with the video, but make sure you hit that like button first. Now, growing up, I didn't really understand the concept of saving your money and budgeting and staying away from bad debt. I just figured that eventually I'd make enough money to pay things off and buy a house. And when I was 20, I got a credit card with a $1,000 limit, and within a few months I maxed it out on small luxuries like eating out at restaurants, buying clothes, and other frivolous things that I can't even remember at this point. I mean, to me, it was just free money that I could pay back at any point. Just pay the minimum and the collection agencies won't come and get me. And it's a very immature way of thinking, but unfortunately, a lot of people do think like this. Now, even with a small limit on a card, people think that it's okay to spend it all now, pay it back eventually, and it won't break the bank. Well, think of it like this. If you max out a $1,000 credit card with a 23 to 25% interest rate and only pay the minimum of, let's say, $25, you would end up spending $2,032.82 a month. That's $1,032 of interest, which is more than the limit of the card. Looking back on it, I wish I would have asked myself at some point, am I willing to pay up $2,000 for $1,000 worth of goods and services? But that's just an example of how I dealt with money. Now, I eventually got older and wiser and started to make a little bit more money. And I was spending a little bit more responsibly, but I never got the urgency to not be in debt. Certain purchases felt like an investment in life, like traveling to places that I've never been to and going to lavish events with friends. But when you're using debt to pay for these purchases, it's not really an investment in life. It's more like taking a scenic route into poverty. Either way, I eventually attained a balance of $28,000 between two credit cards. To add on to that, I eventually decided to finish my bachelor's degree and finally achieved it in 2017 and ended up getting $33,000 in student loans. Finally, the last thing to top it all off is having to buy a new car when my old car basically broke down, which was a $7,000 car loan. Now, in the back of my mind, the debt was still lingering, but it was still manageable, so there was no urgency to pay more than the minimum to get rid of it. Now, what actually prompted me to go on this laser-focused journey to get rid of debt quickly was a relationship that I ended up getting into. We eventually moved in together early in 2018, and I took on the role of becoming the breadwinner in the home. Basically, her and her son relied on me, and it was the first time I started to think about the right moves for the future. I knew that I had to hurry up and get everything paid off so that we could build the kind of wealth that would eventually take care of us. At the time, I had my main job working 40 hours a week, making a yearly salary of $46,000 before taxes. I ended up getting a second job working 38 hours a week, making a yearly salary of $39,000. Now, that's a lot of hours to work in a week, but to me, it's worth it if it means going towards a secure financial future. Now, that relationship didn't work out, but for the momentum and the inspiration that I gained to move towards a financial freedom, I'll always be thankful for that situation, and I will treat it as a gift. Now that we've discussed my means of using extra income to get rid of debt quickly, let's jump over to the PowerPoint for a breakdown of my progress so far. Now, there are a couple of schools of thought that I considered when taking care of debt. One way is focusing first on the balance with the highest interest rate and paying that off as quickly as possible. Now, that's not a bad strategy, and you will certainly save a good amount by not paying as much interest in the long run. But I found that a different strategy worked for my personality type. The Snowball Method focuses on the lowest balance first, and once that one is paid off, you focus on the next balance. Now, with both methods, you're paying the minimum of the other balances while throwing all extra funds at the focused balance. Now, with the snowball method, this creates a pleasing psychological effect because when you quickly pay off the first balance, then that money goes along with the minimum payment of the next balance, and you'll see just how effective it is. You'll see your hard work come to fruition sooner rather than later, and it will allow you to keep that motivation until you reach your final goal. Now for a breakdown of the progress of each account. After taking care of monthly expenses, I'm left with about $2,900 a month to use towards debt. Now, starting in May 2018, I focused on my car payment and was finally able to get that paid off in May 2019. From here, I went after the balance of credit card number 2 and got that paid off in about July 2019. Afterwards, all efforts went to paying off credit card number 1, and that was finally paid off in January 2020. Finally, I was able to focus on paying off student loans. And while the events of 2020 has become an obstacle, I'm proud to say that I will have this paid off in March of 2021. In just about 3 years, I will have paid off $68,000 and will be completely debt-free. So after March 2021, what am I going to do? Well, the first thing is never get back into debt. This means to never make a purchase that I don't have the cash to take care of or that I can't pay off within a month. Next thing is to make sure that I build up an emergency fund. This is a fund that's going to be put in a high-yield savings account and will only be used in case of emergency or if I lose my main source of income. Now, according to Investopedia, there should be about 3 to 6 months worth of expenses in this account. Now, I estimate this to be about $25,000, and I will be keeping it in my Yada savings account. Now, I don't know if you've heard about Yada savings, but it's a pretty fun way to save money. See, for every $25 that you deposit, you will receive a ticket that's going to go towards a weekly drawing for prizes ranging from 10 cents to $10 million. Even if you don't win the big prize, the winnings from your tickets will yield earnings that pretty much beat most savings accounts today. It's also FDIC insured, and for those that buy lottery tickets, this is a better alternative because you're not actually losing money. Click on the link in the description to get 100 free tickets when you sign up. Now, once the emergency fund is in place, there's only one thing left to do. That's build wealth. Grown folks owe it to themselves to build up the type of financial portfolio that will keep their family independent and comfortable. Here's how I plan on building wealth. Now, at my main job, I have a 401k, which contains a traditional IRA account and a Roth IRA account. It's estimated that these will continue to grow at about a 7% return. So when I retire in, let's say, the year 2048, these accounts should be worth together about $600,000 to $76,000. Now, outside of my retirement accounts, I own some shares in mutual funds. This basically acts as a safety net, and it's going to eventually supplement my retirement as well as my investments in the future. Now, with an estimated 7% return on these accounts, along with the $800 monthly contribution, I believe these accounts, when I retire, will be worth about $916,000. Now, at some point, I'm going to be using a $30,000 investment to buy some land. I plan to hold this land for about 10 years and sell it back for a profit or use it for rental income that other companies can basically pay me as they're using this land. Now, once I sell it, at minimum, it should be worth about $60,000, which will give me a $30,000 profit. Now, I'll also be looking into purchasing a duplex, which will act as both a residence and a source of rental income. I'll stay in one unit and will rent out the other unit. And once the mortgage is paid off and I'm renting out both units, I should expect about $2,000 of monthly rental income. I would also love to take a $50,000 investment and become a part owner of a company where I can use my knowledge of the IT industry and eventually make back my return of investment within a few years. I'll do a video in the future breaking down different investment options. As you can see, the possibilities are endless, and it's only because I took the steps towards making it happen. Now, with these steps have come a lot of sacrifice. I mean, I don't go out with friends, I don't get sleep, and I've had to pretty much put travel on hold. Working towards becoming debt-free has become the most important thing I could focus on within the past 2.5 years. Probably the most important thing I could ever focus on. I'm proud to say that this part of my journey is almost complete, And if you're struggling with finances and you want to gain your freedom, don't be afraid to be honest with yourself about how much you owe, what you're going to have to do to take care of it, and everything that you'll have to sacrifice in the process. Having that weight off your shoulders will be well worth it. I want to thank everyone for watching. I will be posting an update of this video sometime in March 2021. So please click that like button and subscribe if you want to stay informed of my journey, as well as a breakdown of personal finance and investment opportunities. Have a great day, and don't forget, everything you touch turns to gold only because you make it so.